Hello everyone, welcome back to Ana Dialogue, the dialogue on analog music reproduction. This is a special episode because we are going to focus on movies. We are going to actually take a look at those famous scenes where we can spot cool tape software sometimes, but mainly hardware, meaning tape recorders of every kind. Reel-to-reel, cassettes, everything. So, we are going to take a look at 8 movies, hence 8 elements, tape elements inside them, together, almost as a reaction. If by any chance, unfortunately, YouTube is going to cut out something, or it's going to block the video, I'm going to put all the little segments of the movies here below for download, okay? You can download them, all 8 of them, and watch them. So if something is going to miss here and there, unfortunately, you know why. Okay, let's start immediately with the first. I have my computer here, so I'm going to watch it together with you. And after, we'll comment on what's inside. Try to guess what's inside. Well, if you guess them, congratulations. A few are easy, but some are tough. Let's start with the first one. Go.
Big Duke 6 Eagle Thrust. Put on sidewar off. Make it loud. Into the Romeo Foxtrot. Shall we dance?
Okay, so as you've seen from the title, this was a famous scene from the movie Apocalypse Now by Francis Ford Coppola. And in this scene where there's Robert Duvall, which he's approaching with all the helicopters, he's going to throw his napalm on the poor Vietnamese. And there's also a very young Lawrence Fishburne inside the crew there. If you take a look, pay attention to that. And as you see, they are listening to Wagner, the famous Ride of the Valkyrs. And how do they listen to this? Remember that we are in the 70s, so there weren't that much of a fancy equipment. They're using a very tough reel-to-reel recorder, an Akai M8 Crossfield. Now, that is a very particular type of recorder, because it has the crossfield technology, which is something we don't hear that much in reel-to-reel, actually, which is something fantastic. But it has some downsides. What is crossfield technology? Well, actually, just to summarize it quickly, you have an extra head behind the tape that is fully dedicated to the bias, okay, the bias current. The signal on one, the bias on the other. And this clearly optimizes the bias, especially with the higher frequencies. You have less saturation, just more detail in general, more energy in the proper passages of the music. But unfortunately, they have to be perfectly aligned, and the tape has to be clean. I mean, if just a little bit of the binder starts to come off, you're going to have issues. In fact, there are a lot of people experience dropouts, and the transport itself of the Akai wasn't that special. So in the end, it just faded away together with Tandberg. Actually, Tandberg is the one who introduced this mainly to the broad public, at least. Very, very cool. Japanese technology. Okay, Let's continue now with our second movie, which is a little more spicy. And let's start immediately from now.
Hi.
You smell good.
Thanks. Wow. It's nice. Yeah, sit down.
Of course, make yourself at home.
Ooh. Some chair. You have a lot of TVs. My uncle died watching TV. He did. He was a fanatic about sports. I mean, any sports. He had 3 TVs and a radio. He used to run from room to room just so he wouldn't miss out on anything. He died of a heart attack, 76 Olympics.
I've come pretty close to a heart attack myself watching these things. I used to live in hotels before I lived here. I do like to cook.
You like to cook?
Love to cook.
Okay, so Kim Basinger and good old Mickey Rourke before the transformation, unfortunately. Adrian Lane movie, 9 weeks and a half, 1986. Forgot to say the other one, Apocalypse Now, was 1979, although it's written there on screen. And here we have the scene where she goes for the first time at his place, and he kinds of plays Mr. Cool, showing all his gear, his strange furniture, a lot of design going on, and clearly he interacts with a cassette player, which is clearly, obviously recognizable, the Nakamichi RX 505, together with other stuff. So already there, especially because of its auto reverse fancy movement, that's clearly what they're aiming at. That's why they put it inside. In fact, you don't even see almost the cassette deck that much. But everyone loves this special mechanism, and clearly this does play a role in the movie, making him appear to at another level in his hi-fi equipment. Very cool. Few specs. It's a 3-head cassette player. It was produced from 1984 to 1993, from what I found online. Great specs, and as we said, mainly famous for its auto reverse, the flipping mechanism. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, now it's time to dive in horror. Are you ready? Number 3 going out now.
Come on, let's take this stuff upstairs. I'll grab the recorder, and you get everything else. Yeah. This guy was a real turd, you know. Everybody hated him. Every turd.
Like you, kind of, right?
Yeah, just like me. I'm gonna break your face.
No,
He's
what?
into also.
What do you mean?
He's into this Western stuff. He makes
I
all
see
these
you're
little
burning your
models.
shirt.
Okay, shh. Listen to this. This is the tape I found downstairs.
It has been a number of years since I began excavating the ruins of Kandar with a group of my colleagues. Now my wife and I have retreated to a small cabin in the solitude of these mountains. Here I continued my research undisturbed by the myriad distractions of modern civilization and far from the groves of academe. I believe I have made a significant find in the Kandarian ruins, a volume of ancient Sumerian burial practices and funerary incantations. It is entitled Naturan de Manto, Roughly translated, Book of the Dead. The book is bound in human flesh and inked in human blood. It deals with demons, demon resurrection, and those forces which roam the forest and dark bowers of man's domain. The first few pages warn that these enduring creatures may lie dormant, but are never truly dead. They may be recalled to active life through the incantations presented in this book. It is through recitation of these passages that the demons are given license to possess the living.
Hey, what'd you do that for? It was just getting good.
I just don't want to hear it anymore, that's all.
Scott, come on. Roll the ball, man. Hey, come on. I just want to hear the rest of it. No big deal.
Tatra amistrobin hazarta. Tatir mano mansizon hazan sobar. Samanda robza. Darhis hiker dans de rodza. Ganda.
Shut it off.
Ganda.
Shut it off.
Ganda.
So, this was The Evil Dead, the original of 1981, starring Bruce Campbell, director Sam Raimi. Fantastic. And this gave birth to a series of movies which still goes on today with the reboot and the sequels, the prequels, and all that stuff. But this is the original. Very handmade, with very low budget, but it just has that special aura and that special taste, which I adore. And also, this part is a key part in this movie, and just for the ambience, for the environment that where with the setting where it's taking place, it adds that mystery, that special retrieval of a document with the voice of this priest, of this of this academic or professor or whoever he is, which then pronounces the fatal words. And all this is based on the magical world, fantastic world of the creator, the writer, H.P. Howard Phillips Lovecraft, with its Necronomicon and all the different, the great ancients and all his mythology. It's amazing. I mean, I invite you to grab one of his books, his tales, which are just fabulous. So what are they using to listen to what is actually going to trigger the whole rest of the movie, the awakening of the demons? Well, it's an old reel-to-reel. It's a reel-to-reel from the 60s, which is a Panasonic, and more specifically, it's a Panasonic solid state with a very difficult name, RQ706S. Not the best. I mean, if you go online and check the specs, really nothing special. Probably used for dictation or very simple stuff. So the purpose is faithful. I mean, it's not for music, I would say. At the time, maybe it was, but there was much better stuff ongoing. So in the middle ground. But this got so famous, you can also find online kits with the Necronomicon and fully refurbished reel-to-reel examples by Panasonic. Very, very cool. Okay, let's proceed. Here comes number 4. Go.
Who are you?
Silence, Earthling! My name is Darth Vader. I am an extraterrestrial from the planet Vulcan.
This clearly was Back to the Future, 1985, Robert Zemeckis, with Michael J. Fox, who is trying to just scare away his father, Crispin, in this famous scene with the use of his Walkman, which is, I have to read it, an Iowa HSF 07 PO2 Mark II Walkman. Nothing special. Again, you're going to find loads of kits of people selling it because it's that one. But it's a simple Iowa. Actually, one of the first by Iowa with an auto reverse. That's something notable. And the specs are normal, nothing special, I must admit. So that's it, but I had to put Back to the Future. I mean, this is one of the main episodes connected to tape. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm butchering a few of these names. As you know, I'm Italian. As you know, the names are something that we grow up with, and hence I always been hearing them in a different way, okay, from how you correctly pronounce it. So sorry about that. Forgive me. Okay, let's proceed immediately with number 5.
Drinks, music.
I'm gonna take a piss.
That's a little bit more information than I needed, Vince, but go right ahead.
You'll be a woman soon. I love you so much, can't count all the ways I died for you, girl, and all they can say is he's not your kind. They never get tired of putting me down, and I never know when I come around what I'm gonna find. Don't let them make up your mind. Don't you look good?
Okay, so this is the famous scene where Uma Thurman, the female dancing, she practically ODs. So John Travolta helps her. I don't want to say too much because maybe sometimes people haven't seen these movies. This was Pulp Fiction, 1994, a classic of the classics, I would say. Fantastic movie. And before things get going and John goes to the bathroom, Alma fiddles around with her TIAC X2000R. Wow. Fantastic deck. One of the best, if not the best, by TIAC. This is a 4-track. There's also going to be a 2-track version with the M at the end. Very, very good transport. Preamp, so good. I mean, good, obviously, absolutely, but they're better stuff. And this was produced from 1984 to 1999, so a very late deck. But that's why there's so much technology, up-to-date technology. It had auto reverse, DBX, fantastic, very, very cool scene when again the recorder is the protagonist. Love it. Let's proceed. Okay, let's go with number 6 now.
Okay, what are your all-time top 5 favorite records?
In the club or at home? Listen, tell you what, why don't I just make you a tape? Now, the making of a good compilation tape is a very subtle art, many do's and don'ts. First of all, you're using someone else's poetry to express how you feel. This is a delicate thing. So for this one, I'm thinking. When is this gonna stop?
When's what gonna stop?
Oh, thank you.
The making of a great compilation tape, like breaking up, is hard to do and takes ages longer than it might seem. You gotta kick it off with a killer to grab attention. Then you gotta take it up a notch. But you don't want to blow your wad, so then you gotta cool it off a notch. There are a lot of rules. Anyway, I've started to make a tape in my head for Laura. Full of stuff she'd like. Full of stuff that'd make her happy. For the first time, I can sort of see how that's done.
I believe when I fall in love with you.
So, another must, another famous movie, High Fidelity, 2000, John Cusack. And here, again, I mean, the famous, these are two scenes. I combined them. I had to put them both regarding how to do a mixtape, the use, the objectives, how you have to do it. Very cool. And since he is not a high-end guy, but he does have a special deck, especially for that age, because if I don't go wrong, I think the movie is taking place earlier than the year 2000, and he is using a Nakamichi 480Z, which is a very good deck, but not one of the top of the lines or the best decks of the 80s. In fact, this deck is from 1979, so kind of early. It has, in fact, only 2 heads, if I don't go wrong, yes, and the specs are decent. I mean, nothing stratospheric, but good, a very good choice. There you go, another fantastic movie. If you haven't seen High Fidelity, go and grab a copy, go and stream it, because it is very, very cool. Okay, let's proceed. And here we go with number 7, a little long, but one of my favorites. Let's go now.
Sweeping condemnation of White House policies. Well, the same poll gave evidence of a groundswell of nationwide support for Governor McRyan to declare his candidacy. Well, they may not have much longer to wait. Governor's now at the ballroom at the Bellevue Stratford, where just a few minutes he's expected to address the kickoff dinner of the Liberty Day celebration. Some people are guessing that he will use the occasion to throw his hat into the ring. What about it, Joan? Is there any word from the Bellevue Stratford yet?
Not yet, Bill, but as soon as there is, we will be going there live. As we all know, Liberty Day is one of the most eagerly awaited of all Philadelphia celebrations. But this year, it's going to be extra special. It is exactly 100 years since the Liberty Bell was last rung. And to honor this centennial, there will be a parade on Saturday down Market Street. It will end up at Penn's Landing, where there will be a spectacular display of fireworks. In addition, a full-size replica of the Liberty Bell has been made from pennies donated by school children from every state in the Union.
Joan, I understand that they'll be ringing it after the fireworks at Penn's Landing.
That's right. Hold it, Bill. I think we're getting something from the Bellevue Stratford right now. Let's go live to our Eye on the City political correspondent, Frank Donahue, at the Liberty Ball at the Bellevue Stratford Hotel. Frank, you look fabulous. Have you spoken with the governor yet?
Yes, Joan, but only briefly, as he arrived only moments ago. I did pose to the governor a question regarding his impression so far of this year's Liberty Day Jubilee. The governor said that he was honored to be here, that he plans to attend the parade, and of course the ringing of the new bell on Saturday night. The governor went on to say, Joan, he felt it a shame the Liberty Bell had been silenced for so long, and that he was looking forward to hearing a new voice of liberty throughout the land. The governor is now busy greeting some old friends, and we understand, Joan, that he will be enjoying a meal here in the ballroom. But his people have told us that he will indeed speak to us at greater length when he finishes that meal. I'm Frank Donahue. Eye on the City News, Bellevue Stratford.
Thank you, Frank, and we'll be getting back to you later on in the broadcast. Meanwhile, there is other news this evening. There has been a teacher strike.
Okay, guys, they don't make movies like that anymore. Wow, what an intro. I did just a little small cut in the beginning because he's in front of the television for a while, and then he goes back up, so I just merged that part. But it's all the titles, the beginning titles, and this little part afterwards. Fantastic. This was clearly Blowout 1981 by the mythical Brian De Palma, with starring John Travolta. Wow. If you haven't seen this movie, guys, go and see it immediately. This is the real thing, okay? Now, the scenes are fantastic. I mean, he is fiddling around a lot, creating these noises because he needs these noises for video, okay? He is doing audio for video mainly. And what is he using in the beginning, that long scene? An Ampex 351. Wow. Fantastic. Great recorder. The transport wasn't exceptional good, but especially the preamp part is very, very good. Was and still is. A lot of people keep looking for them, and they cost an arm and a leg because you can use them also as excellent mic preamplifiers. Fantastic. Those, together with the MR70, are clearly among the best preamplifiers for tape, and not only that you could find. So very, very cool editing scene. Love it. And then he goes out to capture more sounds with his Nagra. Nagra 3. Very, very cool. Nagra, it's a Swiss product. And that was, let's see, when it was released first, the 1957, the first Nagra 3, all the way to 1962. So kind of early, actually, which was incredible transport, great specs, fabulous. Clearly the best is the 4S, but already the 3 was very, very good. And it was specially used for cinematography, film production, also scientific recordings, broadcast activities, and things like that. And clearly the Ampex for multi-purpose, but mainly I would say music, absolutely. Okay, let's proceed now to our last movie. Are you ready? Let's go now.
It had been a wonderful evening, and what I needed now to give it the perfect ending was a bit of the old Ludwig van.
Okay, a true piece of history here. A Clockwork Orange by Stanley Kubrick. It's a 1971 movie starring Malcolm McDowell, which actually was a Mr. Nobody at that time. And he had just coming back from his activities. I'm not going to spoil anything. If you haven't seen it, you should. And apart from the very famous record player, which we'll talk about in another episode, he grabs for these very small, teeny cassettes, just because the plot takes place in the future. That's why they have this strange-looking stuff, the record player, but also this mini cassette player, because in fact he is using a mini cassette, the Philips one, which was released in 1967. Wow. Not to be confused with the micro cassette by Olympus, okay? The deck does not exist, unfortunately. In fact, we're focusing on the software in this case. No mini cassette decks. In fact, even the Beethoven Deutsche Grammophon itself does not exist. It's just something they created for the movie to give that special futuristic type of approach. It's because he loves the Ninth Symphony of Beethoven, and this was the special way he was enjoying it, that music. Very, very cool. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this different episode. If you have some suggestions for tape in movies, but we're also going to do other analog stuff. I would say vinyl. There's even too many movies with vinyl inside, especially now, but we'll see. In any case, please write your comments here below, your suggestions. I'm interested. I'll try to snatch them. I'll give you credit if you find something cool, and we'll do a new episode if people are going to enjoy this one. Okay? Thank you again for watching, and remember, music is born analog. Well, guys, if you're enjoying my videos and you're enjoying my channel, please consider to subscribe by clicking the black and white logo here below. Also, don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll never miss an episode and you will become a true member of the analog community.